Warm, temperate forests dominate the land of Alabama. The heart of Dixie ranks fifth in forest cover and biodiversity in the United States, with over 70% of its landscape blanketed in lush green canopy. Commonly found throughout the region, a family of trees plays an important economic and ecological role. Join us as we tell the story of the family Juglandaceae, hickories, pecans, and walnuts. We will discover how they change through the seasons, their niche in the ecosystem, and what makes them special.
Hickories, pecans, and walnuts represent a family of trees in the order of oaks, Pygales, which belong to the phylum of the flowering plants. The trees within the family Juglandaceae are divided among two genera, Juglans, the walnuts, and Caria, the hickories. All members of Juglandaceae can be identified by their pinnately compound leaves, arranged alternately on their twigs. Hickories, pecans, and walnuts are all large shade trees with thick trunks and deep, extensive root systems, which require deep, fertile soils. Genus Caria is divided into two subgenera, which can be distinguished by their buds. While the pecan hickories, such as bitternut hickories and water hickories, have valvate buds, the true hickories have imbricate buds. Dr. Harry Ponder has more on how to distinguish the two buds.
And the difference is that a valvate bud has basically a couple of scales that look like hands clasped in prayer, just like this. A true hickory has scales that are wrapped around it, layers of scales. It gives you a more rounded bud on it.
But as of right now, the buds are closed. It is winter. The Alabama forests are asleep as the days shorten and temperatures drop. Almost all trees are completely leafless. All members of Juglandaceae are deciduous, meaning they have a clearly defined dormancy period in which they shed their leaves and rest for the winter. These deciduous trees have abandoned the prospect of photosynthesis and instead survive off the stored sugars in their trunks through slow metabolism. However, winter will eventually fade as the days lengthen again and the air warms. The trees must recognize these signs to activate their buds and initiate their metabolism. Trees' leaves will begin to unfurl from their buds about March. The leaves of Juglandaceae emerge light yellow-green and very tender. As temperatures warm and the days further lengthen, the leaves will harden off to prepare for the hot Alabama summer. About this time, mature trees will sprout their pollen-producing male catkins and female spikes, which, after being pollinated by the wind, will bear the fruits.
Hickories and pecans use their deep tap roots to help weather those hot Alabama summers. These large trees are capable of transporting up to 100 gallons of water from the soil through the tree and into these leaves every day. While hickories are able to move water as fast as 62 feet per hour, black walnuts move water at a much slower 13 feet per hour. This is accomplished through evapotranspiration at the leaf surface, causing water to be drawn up into the tree from the soil.
Like most plants families, the trees of Juglandaceae form an intimate symbiotic relationship with endomycorrhizal fungi, which form arbuscules in the tree's roots. The arbuscules themselves are shaped like trees and increase the surface area of the roots, thereby aiding in the tree in taking up water and nutrients, which the tree repays to the fungus with photosynthate.
Sometimes, an associated organism benefits from its relationship with the tree, which is unaffected by this relationship. This association is called commensalism. Here, resurrection ferns grow on the black walnut tree. This epiphytic plant simply lives on the bark of the tree and does not penetrate the wood to steal nutrients.
However, these trees are sometimes at odds with their forest-dwelling counterparts. For example, the black walnut is famous for the process known as allelopathy.
The black walnut has been a poster child for this, and so the thought process goes leachate through either the leaves or from the husks from the nut, get into the soil and inhibit other plants from growing around them, thus reducing competition for the black walnut.
You may have noticed that grass does not seem to grow well in the shade of certain trees. This, as well, may be caused by allelopathy.
The evolutionary costs are pretty high when you look at some of the chemicals that are produced for protection, and if they are truly allelopathic chemicals, takes a lot of energy. But if it allows us to survive and then reproduce, it's probably worthwhile from an evolutionary perspective.
Unfortunately, sometimes these trees are the victims of parasites, which may cause nasty diseases. Here, a young hickory suffers at the hands of an army of aphids, which have made homes from the tree's leaves by emitting enzymes, causing the leaves to form hollow galls where the aphids may live. The aphids themselves aren't the problem. It's the fungal diseases they bring that can really harm the plant. Aphids are sap-sucking insects, and excess sap is excreted as a sticky substance called honeydew. The plant becomes covered in honeydew, and sooty mold, a black fungus, grows on the honeydew. This sooty mold can inhibit photosynthesis, thus harming the plant.
After the humid Alabama summer has ended, the air cools once again into mild autumn. This is harvest season. The seeds that had grown and developed over the summer fall to the ground, serving as a food source for nearby birds and rodents. Although superficially resembling a drupe, the husk of the fruit is not part of the ovary wall, but rather derived from the calyx, meaning the fruit is actually a nut. The nuts, especially those of the walnut and pecan trees, are harvested by farmers as well to be sold in stores and local markets. Black walnut trees are often harvested for their strong wood, and it is often used in the furniture industry. In addition, black walnut produces a dark, heavy dye that is often used in the clothing and crafting industries. Hickories, on the other hand, take a longer time to grow to full size, and are therefore not seen as a wood-producing tree. However, the wood produces an odor when burned that is perfect for southern barbecue.
The trees of Juglandaceae, strangely enough, had years in which they did not produce fruit in between their fertile years. Some biologists speculate that this occurs due to varying climates, while others see this as a density-dependent population control of the squirrel population. Squirrels and other rodents often use the nuts of hickories, walnuts, and pecans as a source of food. Unlike humans, these animals possess evolutionary adapted paws and teeth that allow them to access the inner fruit despite thick, woody outer coats. As a result, when the nuts disappear, so do the excess squirrels. Once the harvest has been completed, usually around late November or December, the trees once again prepare themselves for dormancy during the winter.
From fungal diseases to fungal endosymbionts, from epiphytic ferns to nut-loving rodents, the hickories, pecans, and walnuts form a variety of symbiotic and parasitic relationships with a range of organisms through the seasons. And so the cycle continues, from the bleak, leafless dormancy of winter to the vibrant life during the spring and summer months and the bounty of the autumn harvest. The trees of the family Juglandaceae continue to watch over the forests of Alabama as they grow, adapt, and mold the forest ecosystem.